and then they launched the full charge. And maybe without that moment I would have not considered it, and maybe that point would have happened later. So I'm Pieter Vandenbroucke. I'm from Belgium. I'm 33 years old and I'm a backup at EcoTraining. With EcoTraining I enjoy the most to be exposed to nature, to be in it basically. When I wake up, I open my tent, you're in nature. In the afternoon, you're in nature. In the evening, you're in nature. And the exposure to wildlife it's great, because you have the elephants here in camp coming through, you have nyalas, giraffes all coming through, and you just have to be here, So it's easy. You don't have to look for it. You have always good atmosphere. You have some nice air, clean air normally. So it's nice, because otherwise in Belgium you have to drive maybe an hour, 2 hours to find a nice spot. Whereas here you step out of your tent, done. It's easy. Each time you get out of your tent, like today, we got out of a tent, got up early, it's an adventure. Each day is different. Yeah. If you go out, you get immediate feedback from nature, from wildlife. Whereas in corporate maybe it takes a lot longer. Today you're working on something that might happen in 3 years. So it's nice to have a tangible day, if that makes sense. That there's always something happening if you just look for it, if you open your eyes. Even if you're in town, in the city, that if you look, you'll see things. Because it's very easy to get stuck in a certain mindset, and you go to work, go to the office, go back to work. So you get into a automatic pilot mode and you miss a lot of things. But for example, if you have a little garden or a little pool with some water, you just look at the birds, and take your time, and then there's always things happening, and it brings value to your own life. I find it slows you down, and just look around. That's a very important lesson, and also that people can take away in the cities. Sometimes they say it's good to be out and be disconnected, but for example, my whole family and a lot of friends are in Belgium, so it does, or even in other countries, so it does get tricky to keep in touch. The first thing that pops into mind was a experience in Mashatu, Botswana, where we had in training, so in the trails course, in the module trails, in the morning we had one encounter with 2 lions, male lions. We woken them up and they were fine. They were they came in to investigate, but then it seemed like they were too tired. It was a very close one, so I basically walked in between them without knowing it, and then we noticed, and then the same day we walked in that area again, and then they launched the full charge. So it was a very tricky situation, but it was one of these moments where you hit a decision point, like, okay, this can happen, it's real, do you want to continue or not? Because it can happen. It was a great lesson. So, and maybe without that moment I would have not considered it, and maybe that point would have happened later. But that was a very strong moment in my eco-training career. And then, second, I would say I've met some very cool people, mentors that you can learn from, and that's just that's an ongoing process, of course. But you can learn a lot from certain people, and if you pick the right ones, it's a good help. I think the fact that you are able to distinguish important from not important. You're very aware of what you can do with such little resources sometimes. Even if you go on trails for 3-4 days and you're out there with your backpack and you get your water from the ground, and it's just it's amazing. And then you come back home and you realize, okay, people actually are busy with very non-important things. For them it's important, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not. And that's what I learned here a lot, that by being exposed to the wildlife around you, nature, animals doing their thing, and getting through life here with very little things, or little amount of things, it separates important from non-important. So that's for me definitely a takeaway, and I get, each time I go back to Europe, I get confronted with that. Yeah.
Great guys, if you enjoyed that little video, please hit the subscribe button if you would like to see more of the same kind. Enjoy the day guys. Heads up from the low veld in the African bush.